to another coffee talk with the 406 girls. Today we're going to talk about Chromebooks, Cadre, Chromebooks, and cords.
In that order. Thanks for clarifying.
Thanks.
Okay.
So Cadre, that is such a funky word. Can you tell us what's up with Cadre?
Sure. So we had our first meeting of Cadre, which we're in our 5th year this year of Cadre. We had our first meeting this last weekend, and it went super. We were working wonders.
We were.
Because the theme, we try to have a theme every year for Cadre, and this year's theme is working wonders, and we are superheroes. And the teachers that are in Cadre, we're working around that theme. They have superpowers, and so it's pretty cool.
And some kryptonite too.
And some kryptonite, yeah. We all have our kryptonite too. So we did have our first meeting, but it's not too late to sign up. If you're still interested in getting involved in Cadre, you are welcome to still sign up. You can go to bpstilt.ning.com, click on Cadre to register, so that'll be great.
One of the things that we focused on in Cadre this weekend, which was so fun, by the way,
it was a blast.
This came from a Shelley idea. We call this our ring of power. It's an idea ring, and essentially what we're studying and what we're kind of working Cadre around is the NETs, or the National Educational Technology Standards. And so for each meeting that we have, you'll get a packet to add to this ring that will kind of help focus in on what net we're studying and what tools we're using, and then your notes. So it's a good reference tool for people to go back to.
Shelley, I really love this idea. I think it's going to be awesome.
And I just love that we're incorporating the nets because it really brings it back to the teacher. It solidifies what they're doing on their Saturday. Immediately they can come back on Monday and infuse some creativity or some assessment tools. So it really is. It's really fabulous for teachers.
And because we have teachers from every grade level and all over town.
Even Colstrip. Yeah.
It was a great collaboration time to talk about something that we all share in common, being technology, of course, which makes it so ironic that the power of taking notes is still so valuable. So it just kind of ties the whole thing together.
I agree.
Nicely.
And you had mentioned assessment, so that is our next focus, is design and develop digital age learning experiences and assessments. So we'll be working on that the next meeting.
So we hope you sign up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so Tilt?
Yes, so
Yeah.
you
had your first Tilt group?
I did. They were so fun and so nice.
And we should say TILT stands for Teachers Integrating and Learning Technology. So what did you work on in your TILT group?
Oh my gosh, we worked on so much. We started using brainstorming tools such as Poplet. We learned Google Drive. We started creating digital portfolios in Weebly, and we talked a lot just about teaching strategies. So it was an awesome day.
And you get a good day for collaboration because you've got teachers from different buildings, different grade levels.
Right.
Yeah, so just a quick reminder, the TILT Staff Development Program is a phased program. It's a 3-year commitment from those teachers. And the phase 1 group that you had, they're focusing on themselves.
Being the learner.
Yeah.
Yes,
Which is hard for a lot of teachers, I think.
Yes.
To be the learner again.
It really was. They immediately would go back to their math or their PE, and I'm like, hold up. We get to play and learn. So it's fun.
And it's hard to do that, but they need that time for themselves, because that's one of the values of staff development.
Yes.
Having that collaboration time and focusing on your needs.
Yep.
So awesome.
Very cool.
Excellent.
Good.
Well, speaking of what we do, we have Malachi Munyon for this week's Who's Who and What Do They Do. And Malachi, he's amazing, for one thing.
Absolutely.
But can you clarify for us what he does?
Sure, yeah. So Malachi is a network manager, which we have several network managers in our technology department. And Malachi is kind of in charge of all of the people in our district. So he's a connector of all the accounts that you have in your district, not only for your staff members, but the students as well. Amazing job that he does.
He does. So let's see what he has to say.
Meet Malachi Munyon, one of the network managers for Billings Public Schools. We tracked Malachi down to ask him who he is and what he does. We learned why, with all of the miracles he's so busy making behind the scenes, he's often so hard to find.
I'm Malachi Munyon. I'm a network manager at Billings Public Schools. and I manage phones, emails, D2 accounts, student accounts, staff accounts, anything with passwords, anything with name changes, anything like that, I make sure works and try to make sure it works well.
When it comes to making PowerSchool and Google talk to each other, Malachi is the guy.
I make them all talk to each other. I didn't do it myself. Like, one of the scripts Terry wrote, another script Steven wrote. I'm just the middleman that makes sure that all works. So
The programs used by our district aren't just some package deal. They are actually written and managed by some very talented behind-the-scenes individuals such as Stephen Reel and Terry Bybee, who you'll meet soon. So what are all these thousands of lines of codes anyway, and what do they do?
it's essentially the language that you use to connect us to Google, and then you just have to write it to suit your needs. And I don't remember, the one that Stephen wrote, so like 1,000 or 2,000 lines long of handwritten code that he.
So how has the influx of all the new technology this year affected Malachi?
The influx of new technology and stuff means that one of the big things is there's a lot more labs in the buildings, and through that there's a lot more teachers that want to use those labs. And so once a teacher has gotten their students through internet safety and gotten permission slips signed and gotten permission from the building principal, they or the librarian or whoever's handling those accounts need to submit a help desk ticket to Karen Palmer to get permission on that level. Then once she approves it, she forwards the ticket to me. I create the accounts, and within a day, usually that same day, if not usually by the next morning, the accounts are up and running. So when submitting the ticket to Karen Palmer saying Miss Smith's third grade class has permission, just make sure that you add in there Andy doesn't have permission and Joe doesn't have permission. So that way, when it comes down to me, I can make sure their accounts get unchecked and they don't get accounts generated, or if they do get them generated, they're suspended until the time that they can get permission slips in. Make sure that you're submitting help desk tickets, because it's so easy for me to go in and go back and check help desk tickets, and make sure that biggest thing is make sure you respond to help desk tickets.
When responding to a help desk ticket, be sure to click on the link inside the email. This will take you back out to the help desk, where your ticket is being managed.
We're really pushing for the help desk, because it helps so much to keep track of things, keep track of these tickets and these problems, and to see what we have done in the past. It's easy if you submit a help desk ticket as well. It only takes a couple minutes, and then it gets into my queue, and it's on the list of things to be done. So it's one of the things I check every single day and make sure that those things get done. So.
Creating a help desk ticket allows everyone in the technology department, from Malachi to your technology integration specialist, to prioritize what we need to do. So keep those tickets coming.
Okay. Cool. So again, we hear this week after week after week, and especially from our techs, and this being from a very kind of behind the scenes person, the power of those help desk tickets and why that's so important. It's critical. And even for us as technology integration specialists, if you want us in your room, the best way for us to be able to prioritize you is through a help desk ticket.
Right.
So just mention our names or what you want us in there for. It'll get routed to us.
And then we'll start that communication to meet your objectives and the time frame that works for you, and when we can get you in on our calendar. And so yeah, the technology department is using these help desk tickets to streamline the assistance, whether it's tech support or teaching support with the technology.
Yep.
So,
And one of the big things that I know, and Malachi mentioned in there, is we've been dealing with D2 apps.
Yeah.
And all of our students this year, with this influx of new technology, are getting access to we call them D2 apps, District 2 apps, which are actually Google accounts.
That's why I call Malachi Google Guru.
He is the
His nickname, yeah.
That's right. So in order for students to get those accounts, they are from 5th grade and up. I think they are automatically given accounts correct?
They're actually not going to be turned on until the 7th grade.
Gotcha.
But yeah, the K through 6 are the ones that have to go through a process to get those accounts, and which Malachi kind of mentioned that a little bit, which I think we want to re-emphasize those steps that you need. You know, first, your building principal has to be in support of allowing those accounts, and then you need to make sure that you use the district parent permission letter. You get those back, and then you want to make sure that you have, and I love the way Anne has been saying this to the teachers, you need to make sure you're doing ongoing internet safety and being safe online training. And then you also need to do, and that's where we can come in, and I'm saying you, meaning we will help you. There has to be that orientation to what is in the D2 students' accounts, and also this human monitoring system that we have. I think that's important to mention as well to the students.
Right.
So those are the 4 steps you need to take,
And also, you as a teacher, before you, hey, I want Google accounts for my kids, be purposeful about it. What do you plan to use those accounts to accomplish? So I got to go and teach twice this week Google accounts in a 5th grade classroom and in a 3rd grade classroom, and there's more that I'm scheduled to do, but that's exactly what we're doing. We're just saying, here are the tools that you have access to, which we'll actually address more in the next episode. But the kids are so excited, but these teachers also have a very clear purpose for having their kids have those accounts. So we're happy to help get those set up.
You know, and I think too, if you're not sure what you would have as a purpose for using these accounts, again, that's where we can come in, consult with us. We can share with you some ideas that have been used in classrooms or ideas of how you might be able to implement them. So I think that would be good, and good reason to get
not just that, but partner you up perhaps, because one of the powerful Google tools is the Google Hangouts. You could actually get partnered up with another class who's using it, and wow, what a neat way to collaborate.
Which you have done when you're a classroom teacher. You've done it multiple times, and it's been a good experience for your kiddos, huh?
Yep, we're trying to get a 6th grade teacher's class hooked up with a classroom in Egypt actually right now. So hopefully I'm not on a national watch list or something because I emailed Egypt, but you know, you can really reach outside the boundaries of not just your classroom, but your building in our city and our state to work with other classrooms or people or experts in the field. So
to benefit the kids, that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Is the kids just have an awesome learning experience.
And wouldn't it be great if you had these inexpensive, light,
aren't these
portable
cool? I wonder
devices?
if people have noticed these awesome devices we have.
they might not know what it is because yours has this cute cover on it.
So I'll just turn mine so you can see that we actually use these awesome portable web-based devices for our script that we have.
And what are these portable, lightweight devices with which you can collaborate and communicate all over the world?
Chromebooks!
I was recently talking with a friend who's a parent also at a school in the Heights, and she was saying, my son has been coming home and talking about Chromebooks. What in the world is a Chromebook? And they're very new, they're very cutting edge as far as technology goes, and because they're so inexpensive, they're great classroom tools. And so as if you caught our episode last week, we talked about iPads being in all types of classroom environments. We have Chromebooks. Hundreds of Chromebooks that rolled out this year.
Thousands, Again, thanks to the technology levy.
So, there may be a classroom where there's a teacher who has a Chromebook that they're kind of exploring the technology, or they have perhaps a set of them, because at about $250, the ones we purchase in the district because of the management software, right?
Right.
Are about $275 a piece.
Yep, $270 I think is what it is.
Yeah.
Which is about the same as a high school textbook. You want to do some comparison.
That is interesting.
A static high school textbook versus a dynamic, constantly changing.
Or versus a really nice laptop that's $1,400. You can get basically a center worth of these devices. So we see a lot of those. We have schools that have labs that roll around on carts, and we can talk about that too. And we also have
some fortunate classrooms.
Yes.
Yeah, that have one-to-one. So each student actually has a Chromebook constantly throughout the day to use for their learning. And I think it's important to mention that teachers, if you've been using the Chrome web browser, when we got introduced to Google Apps for Education, we were recommending to use the Chrome browser. If you've been using a Chrome browser, you can use a Chromebook because it's the Google Chrome operating system that runs on the Chromebook. And so
Which is what makes it so fast.
Yeah,
because that's all it is.
It's streamlined. Definitely.
So we mentioned that there's more than a few classrooms around the district who are really fortunate to either have written grants for or
They've worked hard to get it. Yeah.
where these one-to-one classrooms. So we'd like for you to meet 3 of them with this video we'll call Chromebook Connoisseurs.
Imagine what you could do with a classroom set of Chromebooks where each student in your class had unlimited access to an on-the-fly device for typing, practicing math concepts, exploring the world through virtual field trips, publishing on the web, creating games, and much, much more. Meet 3 teachers who are so fortunate: Alyssa Gray, Jamie Jarvis, and Kate Cordes. They all received their devices through various grants and have continued to prove themselves as true educational innovators. So what do they do with their Chromebooks? Let's take a look inside their classrooms and find out.
Okay, so today you're going to be working on word problems. These are very similar to the ones we were working on. Where do I do my work? On a piece of paper in your math journal. So what should we be getting out right now?
Alyssa Gray, 4th grade teacher at Orchard Elementary, has her students using Chromebooks for a variety of projects and purposes. Using web-based programs such as Schoology, she's bringing her students into a more paperless world and providing them with immediate feedback on their performance. Through innovative use of Google Apps, she also has her students creating games that reinforce their knowledge while fostering creativity and problem solving.
I'm working on addition and subtraction game. Other kids from the class and everybody else will get a chance to do it, and they'll get to take your computer, and they have to play the game.
Alyssa's students may only be 9 or 10 years old, but they're becoming proficient with the 21st century skills of communication, collaboration, and critical thinking, traits on which middle school teachers such as Jamie Jarvis can surely build. Like Alyssa, Jamie uses his Chromebooks in numerous ways. Even though his focus is on geography, Jamie integrates a variety of tools that don't just help students to become proficient with technology, but that enrich the curriculum he's already required to teach.
In 1902, which president? You know, I don't know if it's changed a huge amount the way I teach, because I've always tried to use technology to complement what I'm doing rather than drive what I'm doing. Technology is just, it's a huge hook. That's the biggest thing. If it was nothing other than a hook, it's upped my engagement level 75-80%.
On this particular day, Jamie's students were engaged in a geography challenge, where partners worked to identify and investigate different types of maps. These skills of communication and collaboration become key in high school classes, like those of Kate Cordes. Kate integrates technology into her English and literature courses as seamlessly as she uses her textbooks. By using her Chromebooks to provide and receive instant feedback, she's able to carry on a digital dialogue that not only assesses, but extends her students' thinking. The affordability and usability of Chromebooks make it possible for classrooms like these to exist, and they'll continue to pop up around our district. And when they do, your technology integration specialists and these experts in the field will be there to help guide the way.
So we just got to see some amazing teachers using Chromebooks, along with a lot of other devices and technology in their classrooms.
And just great teaching. The tools are great, but great teaching.
Well, that's what makes the tools work, I think, is having that teacher that's got the purpose, the planning in place, those kinds of things. And so we saw some other technology in there besides the Chromebooks. Want to talk
One
about
of my
those?
favorite things they all use is the learning management system. They use Schoology, which is awesome, but there's also things like Moodle and Edmodo. There's one that starts with a B that I can't remember, but it's so powerful because the kids can take their work and what they've created home with the learning management system. And it's also an easier way for the teachers to keep track of everything.
Right. And we'll show a specific example of that too, because I think a lot of questions that are coming up with Chromebooks are, well, I have 5 in my room, but I'm not really sure what to do with them. And so it's not about the tool, it's about your curriculum. And so if you knew that you could manage the tool while using your curriculum, focusing on your curriculum, it might take some of the pressure off trying to use
reinvent your teaching, because you're not supposed to do that.
Right. Think about what you're going to be offering your students as a teacher, and how can this tool either enhance that or actually let you meet that goal. You know, one of the things we didn't talk about that I think is important is if the students don't have their D2 student accounts, they don't log on as themselves and get that personalized experience, but there is the option to log on as a guest. And then you have, basically you're using a web browser. You have to put the address of the web tools that you're going to be using into the Chromebook, so I think that's important to mention.
The benefit to having an account, though, is that it saves all of that work that you've done. And so a student could collaborate with other students or do on their own a presentation or a document or a spreadsheet or something like that, where being signed into their account, it's going to save it out there, and then they can go home and work on it, or they can go to grandma's and work on it, or go to Disneyland and work on it.
Again, it's that Chrome web browser. So if you use a Chrome web browser on your home computer, or if you're a teacher, you've got your teacher computer, you use that Chrome. Any of those bookmarks, all of your D2 apps account settings, all of that follows you right to the Chromebook. So it's really handy. So.
I know I get asked a lot, and probably in the middle school, and I don't know about primary so much, but focusing on the intermediate, I get asked a lot, well, what can I do with my Chromebooks? What else is there to do with my Chromebooks? So we spent a little time meeting Kate Cordes earlier, but we got to have this video with her where Shondell Krumhauer, the tech integration specialist at Senior High, sat down with her and asked her, how do you use your Chromebooks and what makes them so powerful? So you have to see this. This is great.
My name is Kate Cordes, and I teach English at Senior High, 10th and 12th grade. I have a smartboard, a Mac computer, a set of classroom Chromebooks, which I'll come back to in a second, clickers, and a PC computer, amongst probably some other little things here and there. And for the Chromebook, I have a classroom set that I raised money for, as well as my own teacher computer, and that's also why I still have the PC, because I have to run some of the software off the PC. My favorite technology is easily the Chromebooks. I guess probably simply they're one of my favorite because each student has one, and so anytime everybody can be involved, that's particularly helpful. But I also like the way that I can individualize instruction with them, the way that I can have something in front of the kids at all times. A lot of what I do on them is automatically graded. I can help them interactively from anywhere in the room, and so they're just incredibly versatile, exceptionally helpful, and probably one of the best learning tools I've ever come across, especially for technology. I use in particular Schoology, which is a learning management system or classroom management system, and on Schoology I can post all of their assignments. I can create assignments, they call them tests and quizzes, but create assignments that are automatically graded or that I can then grade online. The students can submit any assignments to Schoology through a Dropbox that's automatically integrated. I also use a website called No Red Ink, as in no red pen marks, that the students can complete, grammar, punctuation, I guess spelling assignments that are automatically graded. But what I love about No Red Ink is then it breaks it down into skill sets and tells me each individual student's strengths and weaknesses, and I can then design assignments specifically for those students and assign them specifically to those students. I also use the Chromebooks for discussion, some of which can be online, so I can set up, I put out a question and students have to go in and comment and respond to each other. I've done that through Schoology. There are also ways to gather information from students using Google Docs. I also have the benefit of a type of software called Net Support that I can interact with the students in real time. So for instance, I'll have them carrying on a class discussion. I can literally sit outside the circle so that they're not even tempted to look at me. But if they get stuck, or if I have students who need to participate but they're really hesitant, I can push a question out to them through Net Support. Pops up on their screen. They can see it. It gives them a little hint or a suggestion, or I can even tell a student if they're uncertain about an idea or if their classmates refute something they've said. I can give them some encouragement through that feature that is then only between the two of us, and that really empowers students in a way that I wouldn't be able to do if I were leading the discussion. Instead, they're leading the discussion with my assistants in the background. My advice for teachers who've just gotten new technology is that they just jump in and not be afraid of it. I don't know that we have anything in our classrooms that we can really do too much damage to. It can't be reversed, though we should always be careful. But I think a lot of times people are afraid that they'll mess something up or they'll make a mistake. And I think a lot of us who are comfortable with technology, it isn't that we necessarily have a natural skill or that we've been taught anything so much as we're just willing to experiment, and it might seem a little risky at times, but you can always click the back button or delete something. Just get in and play around with it, get your hands a little bit dirty, and don't be too scared to try it out and experiment.
So we were just talking about how great are these Chromebooks, what's so great about the Chromebooks, and some things we haven't talked about yet. Yeah. I love the battery life on the Chromebook.
Yes. I love that you open it up and in about 5 seconds they're ready to go. You cannot do that with a laptop.
Right, right.
So they're lightweight, you can carry them around. I carried 2 down here in these bags, which I'll talk about in a second, but they're so great. But they're $250 for a reason, so that's something else to keep in mind, but they're awesome. Some tools, what are some accessories that people might?
Yeah, so first of all, I think we want to talk about the cover. I think because they are so lightweight, easy to handle, teachers have them in little slots, labs, or different devices. A protective cover might be a great thing to have on it.
And this is one form of a protective cover, of course, it pops on and off, but this is what Kate Cordes does at senior high. She had this bag that she found at the dollar spot at Target, and she lined it with a piece of foamies, and then she slides her Chromebooks in there. So then when her kids go to the lab, they just pull out the whole bag and take it to their desk. I love that. It's a lot less of an investment than an entire lab set of these.
I agree.
We've got, for projecting, there's a great tutorial online. If you go onto our BPS TIS website, you can find a tutorial about how to project with your Chromebook. Yep, it's happening.
So we have a couple of different tools here. Depending upon the Chromebook that you have, you might have an all-in-one cable that will allow you to project, or if you your projector is a little bit older, you might need an adapter, which all of these are very inexpensive and definitely worth it to use your Chromebook. The other thing we added on here is an external hard drive, because you have USB ports. You can store files offline if you needed to.
Pictures, that kind of thing, video. So, yeah. One very coincidental thing is on Tuesday night we have a new, well, it was focused towards new teachers, but then people kept signing up and signing up. Right now we have 33 people, I think, on the list for our Chromebooks 101 class that we're having. So to stay in the same thread, don't you think we should talk about Google next time?
Yeah, oh, great idea. I like that.
So next episode, we'll focus on some of the other tools in the Google Suite, the Google Apps for Education. I think that'll be exciting.
Well, thanks so much for listening to our coffee talk. As you can tell, we have a great time. Another great thing about the coffee talk is we always have contests. So check out our Facebook to see what you might win after watching our show.
Or after something.
Yeah.
After we post it.
Yeah.
Thank you.